which of the following is closest to the diameter of the radio bubble? First of all, I want you to think about something. The the minimum you probably know is the relationship between the radius and the diameter. And so, yeah, you know that a diameter is twice the size of the radius. So if you have if you have a source here and the sound is leaving the source, okay, so it's leaving the source and we're watching it travel away, so it makes this bubble, then this is going to be the radius. And you can imagine it like a circle, and this is the radius, and so the diameter is going to be twice the radius. Now, why would I bring up such an elementary thing? Is because look at the answer choices. Among the 4 answer choices, 2 of the choices are exactly double 2 of the other choices. And this is helpful to notice because it helps you to catch a very simple mistake that you might make, which is you calculate the radius, but you forget to double it in order to get the diameter. And it also shows you that even if you had no clue what was going on, you have a 50-50 chance just by noticing they're asking for the diameter. So what are the chances that 2 answers are exactly double 2 other answers? It's extremely unlikely unless it's a trap that some people are putting radii instead of the diameters. Okay, so I'm just putting that in the back of your mind. But this is going to be a matter of dimensional analysis. We're given 1 light year is this distance. We can translate this into a mathematical way of saying it. Instead of saying 1 light year is this, because we know this is the distance traveled by light in a year, another way of saying in a year is per year, right? Isn't that common expression that we would say this is what happens per year? And that is translated directly in math as a ratio or a fraction. So I can rewrite this as 10 to the 16 meters per year. And so all I need to do using dimensional analysis, because I know all my answers are in meters, I can see that in the answer choices. So I want to get rid of the years. So the only way to do that would be to multiply this by the number of years. I'm giving 100 years, which is the same thing as 10 to the power of 2 years. So dimensional analysis is paying very close attention to the units in order to get what I want. Sometimes you're going to have to divide. Sometimes you'll be multiplying. It depends on the problem. It depends on the units that you start with. So just paying attention to the units can solve many problems on the real exam. In fact, here's an expression that I often use in the tutorials, is that dimensional analysis is such a powerful tool. It can allow you to get questions right, even when you don't fully understand the question. So you might not understand exactly what they're asking, but because they provide the units in the answers, and they provide obviously units in the passage or in the question stem itself, because of that, you can manipulate the units in order to get to the objective, the units in the answers. So years cancel, and I'm left with meters. That concludes dimensional analysis. It's over because we've analyzed the dimensions to get what we want. The rest is just mathematics. So what do we have? Same base, you add the exponents, we have 10 to the 18. Now, remember what we just calculated. A sound started somewhere, and then it expanded. It went off into outer space in this bubble. But the sound started somewhere. These are electromagnetic waves. So because this is part of the electromagnetic spectrum, like ultraviolet light, visible light, all part of the electromagnetic spectrum, they move at the speed of light. And so it's moving at the speed of light from this point. So we're actually just calculated the radius. And then if we want the diameter, so this is going to be the radius. So then the diameter is twice that. The extraterrestrial life. Nice to have that on a real exam, because the signals lose intensity at a rate inversely proportional to what? So we want to know the rate at which the intensity of this electromagnetic radiation will be lost. And do you remember that I underlined when we were looking at the Master Series questions 8 to 10 about the fact that intensity is in units of watts per meter squared? Watts per meter squared. Well, watts is power, and obviously meter squared is area. And yes, indeed, the answer is C. And yes, I think it's even more powerful, Lachlan, to say it the way you said it, which is that this is an inverse square law. So this is related to a few concepts that ACER would regard as important that you are familiar with. One of them is, I'll put my sphere here. Okay. So one of them is gravitation. The formula for the force, for Newton's law of gravity, is a gravitational constant, m1, m2, the two masses involved, divided by r squared, which is the distance between the center of masses of the two masses. So notice it's an inverse square, which means if you double the distance, you quarter the force. You triple the distance, you have 1/9 of the force. Those types of relationships ACER plays with in many different ways. Also, it's not just gravitation. It's not just electromagnetic radiation, which we are looking at, and your understanding of the concept that there exists an inverse square law, essential to solve the problem, but it's also for Coulomb's law. Coulomb's law is for electrostatics. Opposites attract, like charges repel. And when you're calculating the force in electrostatics, it is again very similar to Newton's law of gravity, which is the force is equal to K, which is the Coulomb's constant, Q1, Q2, the 2 point charges involved, divided by r squared, the distance between the point charges. And so you see that this idea of an inverse square law comes up again. And you might wonder why? And it's because of this. It's because of a sphere, because the surface area of a sphere is 4 pi r squared, which you probably don't need to memorize if you are familiar with inverse square laws, is indeed C. So we have two signals of the same frequency transmitted to Earth, and Q has 100 times more energy than P. Suppose the minimum intensity at which the signals can be detected. Q can be detected up to. First of all, what is a watt? Could you give me other units for watts? So watt is a joule per second. Now, and we have this over meters squared. The reason I'm bringing that up is because the question is saying intensity is remaining constant. Okay, so there's no change in the intensity when we're comparing the two different situations. And it also says that the frequency is the same. Now, what that does is it says that this is also constant. So we have the intensity is constant, and we have the frequency constant. Now, in GAMSAT Practice Test 3 from ACER, question 5 is a question that brings up frequency. And of course, frequency is the inverse of time. Commonly, people remember it as frequency is 1 over the period. It's actually the time period, T. And so 1 over S is going to be constant. That's the frequency. And so all we're going to do is we're looking at manipulating the energy. So work and energy are in the SI units. joules. The question is, why is intensity constant? Because in the question, it says there is a minimum intensity at which these two signals can be detected. And so we're comparing these two at the same intensity and with the same frequency. And so if you multiply, remember, we need to keep all this constant. If we multiply the numerator by 100, then the denominator must be 10m, so that when it's squared, it's 100 and the hundreds cancel. So it's going to be 10 times as far is going to be b. So it's 10 times the distance, which means it's going to be, for example, 10 times r. So will intensity be on the next exam? It's possible, but it is very likely that there's going to be some law that has either an inverse square, direct square relationship, or logarithmic, and they're going to ask you to change one thing and see how it affects another. And so there are simple ways to set it up so that you can see, if I alter this to make sure that the overall equation is the same, how can I do that? If you do happen to have the Master Series book, this intensity is discussed in section 8.3, and the gravitational equation in 2.4, and Coulomb's law 9.1.2.